Welcome to Measuring Success Right, the official podcast of the Marriott Student Review, a podcast for students by students, where we connect the leaders of tomorrow with the issues of today.
Hello and welcome to Measuring Success Right. My name is Grant Frazier.
And I'm Spencer McWilliams.
And for this week's episode, we're going to talk about something a little bit different. So for this summer, I applied for like 15 different internships. Spencer, did you apply to any yourself?
I did not.
Okay, just didn't feel like you needed to?
No, I think, I do need to. I just kind of forgot. Well,
No, it happens. No, I applied late for internships, but I applied for like 15 different ones, and I put in a lot of effort into all of these different applications that I did, and then I did not get any of them. I got a final interview for 2 internships, and so I've just been thinking a lot about what did I do wrong? Like, what happened? And I just wanted to kind of know what the internship process is like for the other students at BYU.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led me to what we'll be talking about today, which is that I interviewed just a whole host of different students to kind of hear about what their story was like with applying to internships, mostly selfishly because I myself wanted to figure out what I did wrong and what I could do better next time. So, yeah, you ready to listen to some people's internship stories today?
Yeah, I'm curious as well. I think I'll need this information too when I don't forget to sign up for some or apply for internships.
There's always next summer, you know?
There is.
Okay, so today I want to start talking about the internship story from my friend Callie Roberts.
So my name is Callie Roberts. I'm like a junior or a senior in the sociocultural anthropology program at BYU.
And she had a very unique experience. She applied to be an intern at TikTok, and as part of that, she actually made a viral TikTok that was seen by like her recruiters. And anyway, we just want to show a little bit clip of that.
Oh, hi. My name's Callie Roberts, and for my marketing internship application, I'm going to tell all of you at TikTok why I would make an amazing intern.
I'm great at working in dynamic, fast-paced environments.
I'm part of the demographic that brands on TikTok are marketing to, and who better to market to TikTok users than one of their own? My Rajapin Pasatai, Zhongwen, or English. I'm a great communicator.
Oh my gosh, she speaks the other language.
I know, it's crazy.
Callie Roberts, future marketing extraordinaire for the class of 2021 TikTok interns.
That was so good.
So I think that she's a very interesting applicant because she's majoring in anthropology, which is like not the major that you would expect for somebody going to intern at TikTok.
I thought she was a marketing major. That's so interesting.
So sociocultural anthropology, what do you want to do with that when you graduate?
Yeah, so I've always been super fascinated by like culture and language, and it's just been like a strong suit. Like I pick up languages quickly. I like feel like I read into, I don't know, I'm just like good at reading a room, and that helps when you're trying to understand people of different cultures. So I really like anthropology because it's so broadly applicable, like just depending on how you word it. Like in the case of my internship, I made it sound more like it was a really strong suit for like personable marketing. But then I also recognized that I could go and do like funded research.
So I thought this was interesting because she does a really good job of like tailoring every single resume to work for her. I think it was really interesting the way that she's able to do that and the way that she's able to like pivot between every application. And I think I have a problem where I like just kind of use the same resume and kind of copy and paste the same cover letter a little bit. So lesson 1 that I've learned from Callie is to be better at tailoring your major to show the company why you're a good fit for them.
Oh, yeah. Like she makes the skills that she explains in that interview that it is applicable to marketing and it could be applicable to what TikTok is looking for, which I think was a genius move on her part. So that is awesome.
So I researched all the best times to post things. I researched the best ways to get out of copyright infringements that your video isn't shadow banned. I researched like all of the things that I saw on my For You page. I would like section them out into different like trends that I saw or like different interests that I was seeing. And so many of it was like movies from the early 2000s, just like nostalgic film. And a lot of it, like a lot of my For You page specifically also is like feminism. Feminists and feminism. And so I was like, oh, the perfect movie about feminism from the early 2000s, like Legally Blonde.
Are we allowed to say that we on Measuring Success Right are fans of the film Legally Blonde?
I think we are.
Okay,
allowed.
I hope so.
We better, because that is That is a cult classic, in my opinion.
Oh, it's amazing. And, like, you can kind of hear from this, like, she nailed this. Like, this video, you don't see, like, all the stuff that she put into it.
I was amazed by her TikTok research, which is so funny to say because whenever I think of TikTok, I just, like this morning, I was just aimlessly just scrolling, laughing at my For You page. But to hear all the work she put into, like, researching the trends she saw, like, seeing that early 2000s films was something that caught people's eye and could become viral, it just shows there's a lot more in, well, obviously we know, there's a lot more in going viral and getting that audience than we see just from watching it.
And it's crazy, like, I don't know, I think it's very interesting, all the work that she did, and it, like, worked, you know? She got 50,000 likes, like 400,000 views on the video. So that's, I don't know, it's kind of amazing. But so I think the lessons that I learned from Callie was that, like, there's a lot more that goes into that finished project. And if you're able to, like, make something for your interviewer or, like, make something for the application that sets you apart like that, I don't know, I think you've got a much better chance at it.
She went above and beyond, and it shows in just the audience that she was able to grab. So
the next person that I interviewed, his name is Corey Anderson.
So I'm Corey Anderson, student at BYU, currently studying strategy with a minor in computer science.
He got a job working as a product management intern at Microsoft. But what I thought was interesting about Corey is that he only applied to one internship. So
brave.
It's very brave. And like you'll hear, he applied only to BYU when he applied to college. So he just sets his sight on one goal and then he goes for it. So we'll listen in now.
I only applied and interviewed for one internship, which is like super bizarre and like scared me. But it's like, I guess I kind of have an issue where I tend to put all my eggs in one basket because I also only applied to BYU Provo and I did it 14 minutes before it was due.
Really?
Yeah.
That's down to the wire. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's like kind of bad, but at the same time, like, so what I did was I got back from my mission in January 2020. And then before COVID took everyone out of office, I started job shadowing product managers at Microsoft, knowing that that was the path that I wanted to go down. And so I would job shadow 2 to 3 product managers at Microsoft a week. So I have a couple of mentors here at BYU that have taught me a lot. And one of the things that I did during fall and winter semester was, and I use LinkedIn, I leverage LinkedIn a lot. So I would go on LinkedIn and just look up, like, for example, if you're interested in working at, Utah company or Qualtrics, you go on there and you just search in LinkedIn, Qualtrics University Recruiter. A ton will pop up. You message them, say like, hey, I'm interested in working at Qualtrics. Are there any opportunities that you have for interns? Would love to talk. And they're always open to talk. So I set a goal of having 3 meetings with university recruiters or people in my field. So I also just like reached out to Qualtrics, like product managers.
Okay, is it just me or does 3 recruiters a week feel like a lot?
It does feel like a lot, and it also feels very scary. I don't know. I feel like when talking to recruiters, you have to well, for me, I always feel that I have to kind of take some time to know what am I going to say? Kind of have to figure out what I want to present to them. But doing 3 each week, that would be a lot of work.
It seems like the secret for him was that he just didn't try, he didn't go into it all that prepared though. He just did a lot of them. He just kind of took a shotgun approach. So that's interesting to me. It's he just kind of went for it. And so I think that's some good advice to just kind of go for applying for those internships or go to reach out to those recruiters immediately. And
making those connections.
He's able to get job offers just from calling these recruiters because they often are just hiring when he ends up calling. And so immediately they'll give him an offer on the spot. Just say oh, you seem like you've got the perfect fit for what we want. Do you want to come work at Qualtrics? Which is insane to me and makes me feel like I've been doing this wrong the whole time, which obviously I have, but still it hurts to hear.
And really any company you're interested in. And then 3 times a week, I'd have a call with recruiters, product managers, software developers of these companies. And they're only 15 to 20 minute calls, but you just meet people. And then once you need a job or an internship, they're so much more willing to help you instead of this piece of paper that they get on their desk and then they don't really care for.
So he really, he kind of hit the nail on my head, I think. I applied to too many internships and I didn't put enough care into each one, when what I should have been doing is reaching out to tons of recruiters and trying to build those connections with them. I was the piece of paper that they didn't look at because they were looking at Corey, So that's the lesson learned from that one.
That's a good lesson to know.
I think people just kind of get intimidated by the process, but just reaching out, it does seem like people are kind of just willing to talk to us as college students, and like they want to recruit good people from good universities.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And like start small, then work your way up to bigger companies if you're scared. And like you said, like people are totally willing to help us out. And it's funny, like you'll talk to them and they'll literally like some of them will give you job offers right there. They'll be like, oh yeah, like we're actually like offering a position here. Like if you want to come look at the office and like let me know if you want the job, like let me know, So
Wow.
but and
Yeah.
like you can have multiple calls with these people. And so yeah, it's really an easy and valuable process in my opinion, much more than just, filling out a ton of applications.
That's very comforting.
I don't know. That just sounds exciting to me. It makes me feel like, oh, I just shouldn't be applying on LinkedIn and Indeed. I should just try calling people, and it'll work out some of the time, I guess.
I like how he mentioned that it makes you stick out more than just being a piece of paper on their desk. Because it's true, when you do connect with them, whether by voice or you're like a video call, or you actually get to go and meet up with them, it does make you stand out a lot more. And that's a really good advice to follow.
So you, instead of applying for a ton of internships, like you didn't even go on Indeed or LinkedIn or any of those places to like actually apply for jobs. You just reached out to the connections you already had.
Yeah, correct. I felt like I'm really early on. Like I just finished my sophomore year, and so I'm applying to programs in school, and so I knew that just like blind dropping applications into companies probably wasn't going to get me very many places because my resume wasn't built out enough. But I had built relationships with people, and they knew what I was capable of, and so that's kind of where I was able to leverage my skills.
I think the way he presented it, just saying like, yeah, it's pretty easy. I mean, I think it's subjective to people and how easy it could be, but the way it just shows his confidence in applying. And I think that's another big aspect that you need to have is confidence in your abilities and your skills. And I don't know, making those connections.
Oh yeah, no, like I would never want to just reach out to a recruiter, and now I feel like I should, but before this, like I felt like that would be scary, and like they would realize I don't know what I'm talking about, but seems like that doesn't matter,
Yeah, for real.
Okay, so lesson learned. This person is probably the most driven and hardcore person that I talked to, because he is the president of the Management Consultant Association at BYU, and so he like works with a lot of students who are trying to apply for these big management consulting companies like Bain and McKinsey, and that is a very brutal field to try and get into. So we'll listen in a little bit and kind of hear what his story was like.
My name's Nick Van Sloten. I'm incoming senior at BYU. I've got a dual major in Chinese and economics with a strategy minor and a global business minor.
It's a lot of majors and minors, first off. So Nick, something that I thought was very funny is that he has broken his left arm in 4 different places, 4 different times, and he also plays the violin.
Oh, that's the arm you need to hold the violin, so.
But he's persisted somehow.
He's
got that work ethic,
I guess what I'd want to ask now is, what was the internship process like for you? So you just wanted to do consulting, right?
Yeah, I knew kind of coming out of even high school, actually, that I wanted to do consulting. I've always been interested in private equity and finance.
I didn't even know what management consulting was when I was in high school. I don't think I knew what it was until like last year, maybe.
I was about to say, in high school, those words were not even in my vocabulary. That is just crazy that he really did know what he wanted to do. Like, I believe that.
I couldn't even tell you what private equity was back then. It's
Me
crazy.
neither.
So the process of getting a management consulting internship is like so competitive that they do competitions just around practicing for getting that internship or getting that position out of college. Like there are whole clubs and there are whole organizations and competitions set up just around practicing the skills that you use in management consulting. So it's crazy, honestly. It is a very high intensity world.
The internship process itself, it really is, you have to kind of start a ways ahead of time. There are a few people that can prepare. Yeah, it really is. There's a few people that can prepare a couple months ahead of time and still do well in the interviews. But really, because of the nature of the interview process, number one, even getting an interview is really difficult. You have to have the kind of standard, at least across BYU consulting statistics, 75% of people have GPAs of 3.8 or more. and greater than a 31 on the ACT. So people actually even retake the ACT just to get an interview, which is just goes to show how crazy.
In college?
Yeah, in college.
Wow.
Just to get a consulting interview, which goes to show how difficult the process can be.
That's so funny.
Yeah, and that's just getting the interview, which also requires a lot of networking with certain consultancies.
Is that not crazy?
The ACT again in college, I don't think I could.
I kind of want to now just to see how I would do, but I feel pretty confident that I would do worse if I tried to take the ACT now.
Yeah, that just the experience of it just brings back some nightmares, but
that people are retaking the ACT in college to get a better chance of getting an internship, and it boggles my mind.
Then once you're in the interview, you've got the standard behavioral questions, and I think they hold you to a high standard on those, but there's also the case interview, and they'll give you a prompt. For instance, a classic one is how many golf balls fit into a Boeing 747, and then you have to do mental math, structure out a math problem to figure out how many golf balls could fit into a Boeing 747 and solve that.
How many golf balls do you think would fit into a Boeing 747?
Oh man, I'm gonna say 800.
Well, no. Well, maybe we'll add that in at the end of the episode, a fact check, and see if there's any number out there that exists. I'm gonna guess it's a little higher. I'm gonna say like 10,000, but
we'll have to check, and then we'll see who could get the management consultant interview.
I'll add that in at the end of the episode so everyone can get the answer to that.
Gosh.
Hello, this is Grant in post-production. So I just ran a Google search, and it seems like if you wanted a Boeing 747 airplane to still be flyable with the amount of golf balls inside of it, you could fit about 3 million. And if you didn't care about it being flyable and just wanted to keep it on the ground and fit as many golf balls as you could in it, you could fit about 15 million. So all this to say that Spencer and I may not be cut out for management consulting after all.
Or they might say something they'll often give a more business related problem, which could be our client is a local restaurant. They have 5 locations, and they've been seeing declining profits in the last 3 years. Help us figure out why. And then you have to go through a series of questions and answers to ultimately kind of crack the case and figure out why is profit declining and what should they do about it. And then you have to, of course, keep in mind all of the risks that could be involved. So there's just kind of a lot of lingo, a lot of processes that you have to figure out. And most people, it takes months of practice through these case interviews.
I think that sounds kind of fun, though. Feels like being a little like a private investigator or something, but just for business. So it's not as fun, but like you go in, it seems a lot like strategy and like solving a mystery. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a interview process that I've never heard of for an internship. So I think those who are interested in management consulting, this would be great for them to hear, to kind of know what that process is like. But it's also kind of cool to see how different the interview processes can be for all these different internships.
Are you thinking about becoming a management consultant now?
Oh, I don't know if I could ever do it, but I think if in a different life, I probably could.
Yes. Okay. Well, we got the answer here.
So internships for myself, I'm interning here in summer 2021. They interview you in the fall of the prior year. So even a year ahead of the internship, almost, they're interviewing you. And so I started preparing to get this internship about, let's see, like a year and a half ahead of the internship. So
if I wanted to, I'm probably not doing consulting, but like, let's say I wanted to apply for summer 2022, I'd be a little bit late right now starting to practice.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you'd want to start right now, and I would say go start networking your tail off and do a lot of these practice cases.
It's absolutely insane to me that you have to prepare this far in advance, but people really, really work for these internships. So I don't know. It's very definitely not like any other internship process. There's like a whole just community built around practicing for this stuff. So yeah. we need to hit the books, Spencer.
Yep.
The other thing that that makes it kind of difficult is just like, it really is. It's also such a game of luck almost. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can run into one case that's just really difficult, and you can run into a case that's really easy. I know tons of smart people, smarter than me, that didn't get offers that should have gotten offers, and I think they just had they didn't connect well with the interviewer or had a bad case. And so there is an element of randomness there, and so all of that practice over that amount of time is kind of meant to reduce at least that randomness and make sure you can do well consistently. But there are tons of people I know that'll spend months practicing, hundreds of hours, and then not even get an interview.
Man,
That's really sad, right?
that is really sad.
I think it's a good thing that he acknowledges, though, the element of luck involved. And I think it extends beyond this one in particular. Like, Callie Roberts, she did this incredible application and this incredible work for her TikTok internship. But, I mean, I imagine, like, thousands of people applied for that. And there are probably some awesome candidates who just also couldn't get in because they can only accept a certain amount of people, you know? So I think something to remember is the element of luck involved in getting an internship.
Yeah, for sure.
How many jobs did you apply for? Did you apply through like websites? Did you have recruiter connections to all the places you applied to? Like, how many did you apply to and then get interviews for and then eventually get accepted for?
I would say I'm a little bit of an anomaly. I only applied to 5 or 6 jobs, but I would definitely recommend applying to more. I just tried to go really deep in those 5 or 6 as far as networking goes, and try to focus all my energies. But I in hindsight, like, I would recommend casting a broader net than that.
So he kind of says it like a negative thing because he's like president of this association, so he recommends casting a broader net, but it seemed to work out for him to only apply to 5 or 6 different internships. And it seems like that's the common theme we've seen so far is people who, instead of casting a broad net, really focus in on just a few, build those connections, make those relationships, and then they seem to have good luck with that.
Yeah, because I feel like if you don't, then you're kind of exhausting yourself to all of these, I don't know, other internships that, like you said, you may not put as much focus on, and then you end up maybe not getting it. So
spreading yourself too thin and not putting in adequate effort into any single one of them. Okay. The last person that I want to talk about today is somebody who had a different, interesting path to getting their internship. So this is my friend Martha, who has done audio engineering for us in the past for Measuring Success, right? Has done reporting for the Daily Universe, has worked at BYU Public Radio, and they applied for a ton of internships and didn't get the ones that they wanted, but were able to kind of maneuver their way into creating an internship for themselves with Wyoming Public Radio. So I think that this one's interesting because they had some of that rejection that I felt, but then they were still able to get an internship. So they've still got a one up on me.
So just to start out, could you tell us your name and just like a little bio about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Martha Harris. I'm a journalism major at BYU, and I have minors in global women's studies and theater, the trifecta of unemployment, I like to say. And I'm from.
Interesting. What made you decide to go with that major minor combo?
Yeah, so when I went to BYU, I was originally an acting major, and so I just had a ton of theater credits by the time that I switched over to journalism. So I'm like, okay, I'll just add a theater minor. And the reason that I chose journalism as my major after acting was I realized I liked storytelling, and I thought that journalism would allow me to do that in more of a real time and tell more stories than acting. And then I just added global women's studies because yay women.
Yay women.
Yay women.
And I just thought, I was like, oh, this would kind of like
absolutely
round out, show that I add some social.
So what's the dream for you after college?
The dream, I think ideally the dream would be to either work at a public radio station or just get paid to write like creative nonfiction essays, but I don't think there are a lot of jobs open for that. So
that's a good one though. I like that. I love creative nonfiction. So I wanted to ask, like, what was your internship process like for this summer? Like, how many jobs did you apply for? And I guess, yeah, like how did you decide which jobs to apply for and how did you end up applying for jobs?
Yeah, so I originally I had like this like 5-year plan in place. I'm like, okay, I'll do like this internship and then this internship. But then last year my internship got canceled because of COVID, everything shut down. And so my plan this year was kind of to apply for internships just in Utah, because I wasn't really wanting to move or do something remote because I wasn't sure how it would look in the summer. Um, so I applied to a lot of the major like news outlets in Utah, so like Salt Lake Tribune, Deseret News, KUER, and then I also applied to some elsewhere. Like I applied to a couple at American Public Media and one up in Alaska. I think altogether I applied to like 6, like did the formal application. And then it got to like February and I'm in a few journalism like online groups. And I put out a posting. I was like, hey, I would like to do journalism as a career and I can't find an internship. If anyone knows any places, please let me know. And so I heard back from someone at Wyoming Public Radio. And so they kind of like figured out something that I could do with them remotely. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Martha, instead of like, Martha couldn't find the internship that they wanted, and so they just posted it online, or they just like tried to find somebody who would be possibly willing to take them, and Wyoming Public Radio just created an internship for them. Like it wasn't an internship that they were actively posting, but they just were able to kind of get a shoehorn in from making that post online. So
Wyoming Radio saw that post and then they offered it.
Yeah, and then they offered them a job, which is kind of amazing to me. So it's a good reminder that there are all of these non-conventional paths to do it, and it never hurts to just reach out, you know?
Yeah, I like how they mentioned that they were just in a bunch of journalism groups. I'm guessing it's just online, right? So yeah, like an unconventional way away from LinkedIn or Indeed are definitely other paths that you can take to find internships.
Absolutely. And I think that it's just inspiring, all of these different people who have these different ways of getting their job that they want, and all of them did them in a better way than I did. So
I would be so frustrated with the Salt Lake Tribune internship because you like put so much work in, and then to not even get the interview or like to not even get a chance to like present yourself or to understand what happened there. So how did you just get like an email from them saying, or did you get nothing? Just radio silence.
So yeah, I didn't get anything from them. They didn't have like a online website where you could submit your application. You just emailed it to someone, and they specifically said on their application page like, please don't send us emails with updates. And it had been like a month and I heard nothing back from them, and I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. And so I sent them an email and they're like, oh, we already hired someone, so sorry about that.
The element of luck really kind of, I think about that a lot when I think about Martha's internship process, with just how Martha is like one of the most talented journalists I know, like an incredible reporter who's worked at the Daily Universe, has worked at BYU radio stations, and they still weren't able to get the one that they wanted. And my other thing is my pet peeve, which is when internships don't even reach back to you ever. Even like once the position is filled, they don't tell you. You just kind of are left in limbo for this job you were really excited for. So I think that's a bummer. I think that internships, just send the email. That's what I want to say. Yeah, that's my hot take.
Give some kind of just feedback or comment on maybe what could be worked on, what is more, or what could have worked. I don't know. Anything would have been nice.
Amen to that. But Martha was still able to get that Wyoming Public Radio job, and they are going to be putting out some awesome stuff this summer. So, Spencer, we've talked about a lot of different people today. How has this made you think about the internship process, or just like kind of the journey that a lot of different people go on?
Yeah, it actually makes me a little bit excited to kind of venture out and see what kind of internships are available. And like now listening to all of these interviews and listening to all of these valuable lessons, I kind of feel a little bit more prepared in approaching the internship life. It's kind of scary, but I don't know. I feel like there was some really good advice that was said here.
I feel like the most comforting thing about it is that it doesn't seem like there's like one single way to get the internships that you want. You know, it's just about, I think it's mostly about finding the company or the places or the type of place that you want to work at, and really focusing in on trying to just show why you're the best applicant for like that position, and to just put in the work, leave it all on the table. And even if you don't get it, understand that you put your all in. Yeah.
I think we covered all the bases of the internship process. So it's kind of exciting.
And so thank you all for listening today. From Measuring Success Right, I am Grant Frazier.
And I'm Spencer McWilliams.
And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Woo!
There you go.
Okay.
That was actually really fun. I really liked that.
Make sure you subscribe to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or SoundCloud so you never miss an episode. Be a friend and tell a friend about measuring success right.
This podcast is a project of the Marriott Student Review at Brigham Young University. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Marriott Student Review or online at marriottstudentreview.org.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect official policy or position of Brigham Young University or The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.